In the forest of Ebel, travelers still whisper of two faint figures, one bold, one gentle, guiding the lost home. Years passed after the twins' victory in Ogu. Their fame grew far beyond Nwoko. Kings and scholars visited their workshop, seeking carvings said to carry the spirit of unity itself. But fame, as they would learn, brings its own storms. One dry season, a stranger arrived in the village, a cloaked woman with silver braids and eyes like storm clouds. She introduced herself as Amara, a scholar of the ancient shrines. In her hands, she carried a cracked obsidian tablet engraved with spirals. "The mask you found in Ebel," she said quietly, "was only a fragment of a greater relic, the heart of two worlds. Its power keeps the sky whole." That night, the sky itself confirmed her words. A jagged tear of light split the heavens, and stars flickered as if about to fall. Villagers whispered of omens. Rivers began to recede, and strange winds swept the fields. Amara revealed that long ago, the heart of two worlds kept balance between realms. But the forest spirit's test had weakened it. The mask's fracture was only the beginning. Now, pieces of the relic were scattered across dangerous places. The caves of echoes, the desert of glass, and the island of falling stars. Chike's eyes burned with determination. "Then we'll find the pieces," he said. Chisholm hesitated but nodded. He had seen in Amara's gaze a plea deeper than duty. Their journey began with the Caves of Echoes, a labyrinth of crystal tunnels where every sound multiplied. The deeper they went, the louder the echoes became, until even a whisper could trigger rockslide. Chike, impatient, stepped too boldly, and the ceiling trembled. Chisholm grabbed his hand, pressed a finger to his lips, and together they communicated only with gestures. At the heart of the caves, they found the first shard, a crystal feather, guarded by a giant bat with translucent wings. Instead of fighting, Chisholm offered one of their carved birds as tribute. The creature studied the carving, then melted into shadows, leaving the shard behind. Next was the desert of glass, where heat shimmered off endless dunes of razor-edged crystal. The sun's reflection made it hard to tell sky from ground. One afternoon, a mirage of their old home appeared, a tempting oasis. Chike almost ran toward it, but Chisholm noticed its shadow was missing. He hurled a stone through the vision, shattering it to reveal a chasm below. By nightfall, they reached a lone spire where the second shard glowed faintly, wedged between crystal blades. Chike, hands bleeding, climbed to retrieve it without hesitation. Their final test awaited on the island of falling stars, reachable only by crossing a moonlit bridge that appeared for one night each year. Amara guided them there, but once on the island, the bridge vanished, stranding her on the mainland. The island was alive with streaks of light, meteors falling like rain. The third shard pulsed at the top of a cliff guarded by a phantom warrior wielding a blade of starlight. The warrior spoke, "Only one may pass." Chike stepped forward, but Chisholm stopped him. "This is my turn." Chike's protests faded when he saw the quiet resolve in his brother's eyes. Chisholm approached and knelt, placing the other shards at the warrior's feet. "We are halves of one whole," he said. "If you strike one of us, you destroy both." The phantom studied him, then dissolved into light. Together, they claimed the final shard. When they returned to Ebel, Amara used an ancient chant to fuse the shards. The heart of two worlds reformed, and the tear in the sky mended, stars gleaming brighter than before. The villagers celebrated for days. But the brothers knew something had changed. Chike, once reckless, now moved with a hint of caution. Chisholm, once hesitant, now spoke with firmer conviction. Their bond had deepened, not just as brothers, but as keepers of balance between worlds. And on quiet nights, as they carved new works by lantern light, meteors sometimes streaked across the sky, as if the heavens themselves remembered the twins who mended them. Decades passed, and the world slowly forgot the tear in the sky. The heart of two worlds rested once more in its hidden shrine, and Nwoko flourished with laughter and trade. Travelers still spoke of the famous artisans Chike and Chisholm, though few believed the wilder tales. that they had walked between worlds, bargained with spirits, and mended the heavens. The brothers grew older but never parted. Their workshop became a place of wonder. Shelves lined with carvings of trees entwined like lovers, birds forever caught in mid-flight, and masks that seemed to watch with knowing eyes. Children came from distant villages to learn, sitting cross-legged as Chisholm taught patience in detail, while Chaik showed them the courage to make bold cuts. On the edge of the quiet village of Nwoko stood an old, vine-covered house where twin brothers, Chaik and Chisholm, were born minutes apart on a rainy night. Their mother used to joke that the thunder announced Chaik's arrival, while the lightning heralded Chisholm's. From childhood they were inseparable, two halves of the same heartbeat. Though they looked alike, they could not have been more different in spirit. Chaik was bold and adventurous, the first to climb the tallest mango trees or swim across the river even when storms threatened. Chisholm was thoughtful, a quiet observer who preferred sketching birds in his notebook or listening to the elders' stories by the fireside. But together they balanced one another, each completing the other's weaknesses. Their father, a craftsman, trained them to carve wood. Under his patient guidance, their skills grew. Chaik's carvings were daring and dramatic, soaring eagles and leaping gazelles, while Chisholm's pieces carried delicate details, feathers that seemed to flutter, eyes that seemed to breathe. By 16, they were the village's most promising artisans. One year, a traveling merchant came through Nwoko with a challenge, a grand carving competition in the distant city of Ogu. The winner's work would be displayed in the king's palace. Chaik's eyes lit up. "This is our chance, Chisholm. Let's show the world what we can do." But Chisholm hesitated. The journey to Ogu was long and dangerous, through forests whispered to be haunted. After a night of stargazing and quiet talk, Chisholm agreed, partly because he wanted to support his brother, partly because he sensed something greater awaited them. They packed their chisels, blocks of seasoned Irako wood, and a few supplies, then set out at dawn. The first days were easy. Golden savannas stretched around them, and they camped beneath wide skies. But by the 5th day, dark clouds gathered. The forest of Ebel loomed, its tall trees crowding the light. The stories they'd heard, of wandering spirits and illusions, pressed heavily on their minds. That night, as the wind howled through the branches, they heard whispers. At first, Chaik thought it was the leaves. Then he saw a pale figure between the trees, beckoning silently. Reckless as ever, he followed. Chisholm called after him, but Chaik vanished into the darkness. Panic clenched Chisholm's chest. He grabbed a torch and plunged into the forest. Hours passed. His voice grew hoarse from calling Chaik's name, until he stumbled upon an ancient shrine, a circle of stones around a massive, twisted tree. Chaik knelt there, staring at a wooden mask half buried in the soil. The mask's eyes glowed faintly. When Chaik touched it, a cold breeze swept the clearing, and the twins felt a presence, ancient, watchful. A deep voice whispered in their minds, "Two shadows, two paths. Only one may claim the gift." The ground split beneath them, and they fell into darkness. When they awoke, they were in separate worlds. Chaik found himself in a sunlit savanna where every step brought strength and speed. Chisholm woke in a twilight forest where silence sharpened his senses. They realized the spirit had split them into realms, testing their strength. Chaik had to cross a canyon on a crumbling bridge that demanded not only courage but timing. Chisholm faced a maze of illusions where only patience and observation could guide him. Each, in his own way, remembered the other. Chaik steadied himself by imagining Chisholm's calm voice, and Chisholm pushed forward by recalling Chaik's unyielding energy. At last, they emerged back into the clearing, both holding a fragment of the mask. The voice returned. "You chose not rivalry but remembrance. Together, you are whole." The mask fused into a single piece, its glow fading into their hands. When they reached Ogu weeks later, they carved their masterpiece. A sculpture of two intertwined trees growing from one root, branches stretching in different directions, yet bound by the same trunk. The judges were silent for a long time before announcing them the winners. The king himself admired the work, declaring, Strength and wisdom are nothing alone, they live best as brothers. Years later, their carvings graced palaces and temples, but the brothers never separated again. Villagers often said that when Chaik laughed, you could see Chisholm's quiet smile echoing beside him, like two shadows dancing under the same sun.